Good afternoon, everyone. Quick look here at the North American equity markets. A little bit of a different story on both sides of the border with those U.S. markets closing down and the TSX up by 0.7%. Quick look here first at those U.S. markets. The Dow and S&P down by 0.5 and 0.8% respectively. The NASDAQ did have some selling pressure, sending the tech-heavy NASDAQ down by 1.7%. And you also saw some selling pressure in the Russell 2000, which of course represents the small cap companies in the United States, 2,000 of them. There really was no major driver to the markets today. The bullish narrative continues to be the same, which is a positive outlook surrounding fiscal stimulus, expecting a very large COVID relief package. Monetary policy continues to be very supportive for risk on assets. That, of course, includes the equity markets. We've heard time and time again that the U.S. Federal Reserve is going to support the economy, even maybe run it a little bit hotter. That, of course, is what spurred the inflation fears, which caused some selling pressure last week. But that was a little bit at bay today. We've also got continued positive news surrounding the vaccine. We've got Merck helping J&J on the manufacturing front. And cases as well as hospitalizations in the United States are declining as their population continues to get vaccinated. Now, at the same time, two perhaps reasons why we saw a little bit of a pullback in the market today. There's more concern about the variant. Now, we heard and talk a bit about the South African and UK variant, but there's a little bit more concern about Brazil's variant being more resilient. The other perhaps driver to the downside today was a China regulator commenting that perhaps there's a bit of a bubble in the market. So taken all together in a rally yesterday, bit of a pullback in the U.S. markets. I would just point out that on the stock front, Facebook warned once again that their ad growth could be normalized going forward. Zoom had very strong earnings, but the stock gave back some earlier gains. Target had very strong same-store sales, up by 20%, but the stock was down by 6%. Company management is a little bit conservative, or at least commenting that they could see some margin pressure for the rest of the year. I think that's really important to keep your eyes on in terms of what you're hearing from company managements, because we don't necessarily see the inflation in the economic data that's reported, but certainly it's something you have to be aware of, and that's why you started to see the yield curve back up last week, because there are certain areas of the economy that are feeling inflationary pressures. So important comment there. And it was not only about the supply chain for Target, it's also about their move to digitization, etc. Moving to the TSX real quick here. End of the day up by 0.7%. We saw strength in materials driven by gold as well as precious metals, well, gold and silver stocks. We also had tech and industrial down on the day. WTI, a little bit of a choppy session, but end of the day down by 1.5%. Canadian dollar was boosted today. The Canadian GDP figure came in above expectations for the fourth quarter. Really important here. Up by 9.6% versus expectations of 7.5%. That was for the fourth quarter. But 2020 real GDP down by 5.4%. That's the biggest decline we've seen since we've kept track of the record, which is 1961. This is all important in terms of what we might hear from the Governor of the Bank of Canada next week as it relates to how stimulative he will continue to be, or the Bank of Canada will be, in making sure we kind of get through this recovery and keep rates lower for longer. So we'll see what kind of commentary comes out next week. Away from that, just on the stock front, I would point out that financials helped the TSX today. We saw some nice moves higher in the big banks. BNS was upgraded to outperform over at CIBC, setting that stock up by 1.4%. Toymaster had some very strong results. That stock was up by 23%. And Weed, Canopy Growth, launched their CBD-infused sparkling water in the United States. So cannabis stocks were in general higher on the day. I'll leave it there. More to come this week for sure. Stay tuned.